So as you all know, Hollow Knight Silksong just came out. And as you probably know even more, is that this is the most anticipated game of 2025, by far. I mean, the excitement and hype built up around this game over the years is practically a game in and of itself. But as somebody who didn't play that much of the first Hollow Knight game, I knew that I needed to play this for myself and give the best and most honest review of the game possible. Because I knew that a lot of people going into this were just going to glaze it and just say it's a 10 out of 10 masterpiece game of the year that needs to be painted on a mural next to the Taj Mahal, no matter how good or bad the game was. So as somebody who holds little intimacy towards this series, I figured it could be my job to at least give a decent review of this game. Although when I say that, I mean kind of like an introduction, because I haven't beaten the game yet, but I'd say I'm about like midway through, but it's already a blast, I gotta say. But before we get too far into this video, I'm going to do the classic YouTuber thing and tell you to subscribe to my channel. Of course, you're not obligated to do so, but this is by far one of my biggest videos I've ever made, on terms of just recording, editing, and everything else. But I don't want to hold you for too long, so let's get back to the video. The first thing I want to talk about, and it's kind of the first thing they want you to notice, is the design and graphics of this game. And let me tell you, this game looks great. Amazing, actually. Recently, I got a new monitor, and the previous one was 720p. Ew, gross, garbage, trash. Blow that thing up right now. However, my new one is 1440p, which is 2 times the amount of pixels, and I'm so glad I can actually experience this game with that. Because looking at the background and foreground with just mixing everything on all the colors, I mean, this is just like one hell of a game right here. If you have a problem with this, I'm gonna have a problem with you. In fact, one of my favorite games of all time is Ori and the Blind Forest, and it has similar qualities to Silksong, such as the background and foreground. And what I love so much about these games is that they can evoke so many emotions just by looking so appealing to the human eye, in such ways that make you just sit there and want to take it all in. So in terms of looks, designs, and tummy feel, I gotta give this a 10 out of 10. The second thing of this game is the combat. Hornet starts out with 3 things in her kit: an upward slash, a side swipe, and a downward dive. Now this doesn't seem too great, but the upward slash is really good against airborne enemies, the side swipe is good against grounded enemies, and the downward dive can actually be used to chain into itself over and over again, because you just bounce off the enemy when you land it. But that's not all, because you can find these shrines around the map, and you can unlock a bunch of different moves, like this spear throw, this dash running thing, this AoE slash move, and that's all I can actually show you because I haven't really gotten that far in the game. So the potential for this combat system is actually really good, and like I compared it earlier, it's very similar to how Ori and the Blind Forest works. You just have to find the moves. So I'm gonna have to give this combat a 9 out of 10. And speaking of finding the moves, this is where the next part comes into play: map traversal. And I'm not talking about movement or anything like that. Oh no. I'm talking about where the game tells you where to go. And I actually have an issue with this one. You get one main objective, which is like climbing to the top of like the Citadel or whatever this thing is called, and nothing else. Which in a way is fine for most people, as there are a ton of different places to go, but there's still a right direction to go in. So pretty much what I did after beating this boss was I tried to go to this green area, and for the most part I felt like I was going the right way. And then I found this room where you had to beat a bunch of these like waves of bugs, but this room is hard, like supremo hard with what you have right now. You do get help from this person, but I'll get more into her later. Oh shit, I didn't go into characters. I guess this video's gonna be longer. But after a lot, and I mean a lot of brute forcing, I was finally able to beat this room. But guess what? I got stuck shortly after, and I couldn't figure out how to progress. And it turns out I was actually going the wrong way, like the complete wrong way, this entire time. Silly me, all I had to do was figure out how to get this dash ability, go to the deep docks, beat this boss, pass this obvious boss, get stuck here, talk to this lady, beat her quest, which is not stated to actually do, get this new cape, go back, pass this obvious boss. Oh my god, it's a boss! Beat this boss, and now you're in a whole new area which you're actually supposed to be in. So this whole green area might as well just be misdirection, but you can see what I mean. They ain't telling you nothing. So I gotta give this part a 5 out of 10. The last thing I want to talk about are of course these bosses, considering I keep talking about them. They are hard, for the most part. Out of all the bosses I've faced, only 2 have actually given me a run for my money. This guy and this bug. Now big guy over here is actually pretty weak, but he attacks really fast. And this jump move covers the entire arena, which is very, very small. So at first I couldn't adapt to any of what he was throwing at me. But all I really had to do was use his spear move a couple times, and he fell on his ass in like a minute. But in my defense though, the only time the game wanted me to use this spear move was to clear some obstacles. And since there's no health bars, I couldn't tell how much damage this thing was doing. Which from what I can tell, this spear throwing move does like 3 damage if your main attacks do 1 damage. That's just what I've gathered. Before we talk about the bug, I want to talk about the other guys. This girl has like a rapier thing. She can block your downward attack. She has these pretty straightforward attacks, and they don't really do too much. But she does have this big AoE move that's pretty cool, but she's not that hard to beat. I beat her on my second attempt. Big guy over here isn't so bad either. I also beat him on my second attempt. He has a swipe attack which isn't super hard to dodge. He can summon meteors from the sky, but most importantly he can actually break the platforms you stand on, which makes some of these moves a little bit harder to dodge. And if I'm not gonna lie, I actually really like it when bosses do this. It just adds more to their strength, and really just more to the boss itself. With moves like that, it kind of like really looks like the boss is trying to kill you. But I'll stop rambling. Not to mention that even though he has a big body, you can only hit his head. But either way, he's not that bad. But now that we have those guys out of the way, it's time to talk about the bug. Why is this guy so hard, you might be asking? Well, because at first he doesn't really seem like much. He's got these pretty easy attacks to avoid, and when you hit him a couple times, his fat ass falls on the ground. And then you can just farm damage on him with the downward attack. But then he goes turbo mode. When he dashes, he uses the circular move. The regular version of the circular move now has 2. He flips upside down and spits 2 of them out. And all of these circular moves have different patterns than the other. Not to mention he's super bulky and takes like 50 hits to kill. That might be a low ball. I don't know, I was just using my AoE move the entire time. Or at least trying to. And like I said, there's no boss health bars, which is both a blessing and a curse, because on one hand, you get more excited when you win, but on the other hand, you don't know if you're gonna die before he does. Boss fights 10 out of 10. Actually, hang on, one more thing. The characters, baby. Hornet is Hornet, right? In a way, actually, you are Hornet because you control Hornet. So technically, whatever you're feeling, Hornet's feeling. So I don't know. She has her own character, like she has her own dialogue, but to be fair, you are controlling her. So you get what I mean. But there's also this lady warrior that when the first time I actually saw her, I thought we were gonna fight, but it turns out she's actually pretty chill, who sells you a bunch of maps and other things for some rosaries. She's pretty cool because she's actually low-key strong too. Like I said before, she helps you in this room, and if she wasn't there, there would be no way in hell I'd still be playing this game right now. And there would also be a fresh hole in my monitor. The next person I want to talk about is this old lady you meet at the start, who is praying in front of this gate, hoping to open it. And when you open it, she thinks it was the prayers. So after that, you think nothing of her. But actually you find her again praying next to this big guy. And I just think this is so nice. And then there's this old lady in the fire area that makes you the cape. She's pretty cool too. She asks you how you got down there and everything like that. She's just a good breath of fresh air from all the stuff that's been happening. So characters get an easy 10 out of 10. Even the ones that just seem to not have any impact at all are just super chill and cool. So anyway, that's the end of this review. This is all my opinion, so don't flame me in the comments. But anyway, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more, and I will see you guys in the next video. See ya!